We've been waiting so long, the season's finally here. Soak it up and cheer, cause Timberwolves Talk is here. No need to fear, the wait is now gone. So farewell so long, cause Timberwolves Talk is on.
All right, hello everyone. Welcome back to season 2, episode 5 of Timberwolves Talk. And today, Peyton and I have an absolutely huge episode for you guys. Just yesterday, the news came out of Gerson Rosas being fired, let go by the team.
Dismissed for better words.
Dismissed, as Timberwolves PR said. But there is a lot of bits and pieces to the story that I think a lot of people don't even know yet. I just held a live video actually for some of you guys, and some of the comments were still kind of mad about Gerson being let go. So this video is to clarify what happened, why Gerson got let go, and the whole situation leading up to it. So I don't know if you have anything to say about that, Peyton.
Well, you covered it very well. I just want to let you guys know that Chris the Facts Jansen will be here today with a lot of great facts, and everything we're going to tell you guys is what we know right now as of 9:27 Central Standard Time, September 23rd. So there could be stuff that comes out right after we film this that we don't know, but we're just trying to give you what we know right now.
And just to clarify too, Peyton and I generally like to wait at least a day on topics such as this, like Ryan Saunders getting fired, Gerson getting let go, like different team changes, different personnel changes. Like during the Pat Bev and Taurean Prince trade, we waited, I think, a day or two, just to make sure no other trades happened. And the reason being is because you've seen a lot of these Timberwolves pages freak out right when Gerson gets dismissed. And in turn, them freaking out, they aren't freaking out for the right reason, and they're wrong on a lot of this stuff.
And they look like an idiot. And
Peyton and I did not say anything until today. We said we were going to do a podcast today. So let's start from the beginning. Early yesterday morning, I had just gotten out of class. I think Peyton was in class, actually. But I got a text from a friend that said, "What are the Timberwolves doing?" So I look up Timberwolves on Google, and I see Gerson Rosas is dismissed as president of basketball operations. So immediately I text Peyton, "What are we doing? Like, this is really weird. Training camps in a week.
Less than a week.
Yeah, less than a week. This makes no sense. What's happening? Is this like originally Peyton and I might have thought this was like Gerson not pulling the trigger for Ben Simmons, or maybe he's given Daryl Morey too good of a deal. We don't know. Like, there's no clue. It's just assumptions."
I knew something was up. I knew that there had to have been something, because it literally made zero sense. And like, without the context of why they actually let him go, like before we knew that, it just didn't make any, like, there's no reason whatsoever to let him go 5 days before training camp. If you're going to, it's either you let him go at the beginning of the off season, or you at least, if you're going to have him go the whole offseason, at least let him have the season to try to prove what he was doing was right or whatever,
Yeah. And I think Peyton was the first one to text us this too. But Peyton, me, and some of our friends kind of came to the conclusion that there had to have been something happening. He either said something or did something wrong. There's just no way that they wouldn't have already fired
arrested
him.
Something crazy like that. That's
so at this point, it's early in the morning. Peyton and I weren't going to do a podcast at night because we were already planning on doing one today. Today's Thursday night. You guys are probably seeing this tomorrow on Friday. So we were just going to let it go, let some more facts come out. So throughout the day, everyone's just bashing Glenn Taylor, Alex Rodriguez, Mark Lore. Everyone's going crazy. Why'd you do this?
Timberwolves always mess up.
Timberwolves always mess up. And then I think it's 15 minutes after they announced he was fired, Kat goes onto Twitter and says, WTF, ... And that ignited a giant,
sometimes he's such a drama queen, man. He's just trying to get
he really is.
So unnecessary.
What do you have to think about that? Because I was it's not because he wanted out. He just tweeted that, I think.
No, it depends what it means. Was he saying that because they dismissed him? Was he saying that because of the affair? which we'll get into later.
We'll
Why
get
was
into
he
that.
saying that? You know, he might even have been saying that about he's on vacation. Maybe something happened on vacation. Maybe that's why he said it. He just, when you put something out there with absolutely no context, that's what gets the most attention. And I mean, that's why he did it, because it got everyone buzzing and everyone was like, oh, Cat wants out with all this stuff. But he could have been just like,
And I'm going to say it once and I'm going to say it again. There is another source on Twitter and Instagram that tried to put out today that Cat requested a trade privately. I'm not even going to say their name. We're not going to give them the publicity, but it is not true. I promise you guys, if that was true, everyone would already have been on it. He didn't request a trade. So don't freak out about that. But later in the night, Peyton and I were both we both FaceTime last night. And we're like, hey man, like I think we both kind of were wanting to do it that night, but we just held off on it. You know, Peyton had work and stuff, and I had some homework, and we hang up, and actually some breaking news came out last night.
Right.
John Krasinski and who else from The Athletic released that article?
I don't know the other guy's name, but there was another guy.
I think it was someone from The Ringer, actually. But John Krasinski and another guy released an article. And in this article detailed pretty much the why Gerson got fired. And just to give a little context, before he even, released this article, he knew about all this stuff. I think it was 4 to 5 months ago.
Months or was it weeks?
It was months. Like, this was happening a long time. So John Krasinski knew all about this like 4 months ago. He just couldn't write the article about it. And he actually went on K-Fan after he released this article and talked more in depthly why.
I really want to give that a listen.
Yeah.
I haven't listened to it yet. I love K-Fan.
Even if you guys don't have an Athletic subscription or you don't listen to the Fan, the Fan definitely posted on their website. And if you guys want to go look at that Athletic article, I'm not like promoting this at all, but if you guys go to the Timberwolves Reddit, you guys can see bits and pieces of it and why, but we'll try our best to explain it right now. So the start of the issues, correct me if I'm wrong.
No, you got
throughout
the facts,
any of
man.
this.
You got the facts. This is a segment of our show. Chris just gives the facts. It's Chris the Facts Jansen. So
yeah. So
let him talk.
most people heard about this already, I'm assuming, from Bleacher Report, but the first thing that came out was Gerson creating a toxic workplace relationship. And there's multiple, scenarios that have gone into this, multiple examples of how this has happened. So the first one I'll touch on is the one that, John made very apparent in the Athletic article. And that was Gerson, to the outside looks like this super good trade partner to like Peyton and I and to you guys. I'm sure like it looks like we're getting a lot of steals, but executives around the league actually hated Gerson. They did not like him. He was not a good trade partner. Apparently he was not friendly. He was really, it detailed some of the executives wouldn't even call Gerson regarding trades. So first of all, that's not good.
That's probably the last thing you want in your GM.
Yeah. If you don't have a line to all 30 NBA teams, that's not good. Then the next thing the article detailed was interpersonal, workplace relationships. And with Sachin Gupta, our new president of basketball operations, he's our intern at the moment. Apparently there were a couple scenarios of Gerson yelling and like verbally abusing Sachin in the hallways of the workplace. And I don't like, Peyton and I are laughing right now and you guys might be too, but like, think about doing that in a regular business, chewing out, like imagine the CEO chewing out the CFO just in the hallways in front of a bunch of random people of like Goldman Sachs or of Target corporate. Like imagine that.
That's messed up. And like the only reason I was laughing, like I guess I got to defend, is just like he seems like such like a little like such a nice guy from the outside. I just can't even picture him just like yelling at someone in the hallway. Like no, that's terrible, man.
I mean, everyone deserves respect too, is the issue. Like, especially if you're the head honcho,
yeah,
a good leader will never do that. And if they have to chew you out, it's always in private and it's always constructive. And, there's a certain way you're supposed to go about business as the boss. And I don't think that was the way. And I think that's a big issue. But I also think the other big issue with Sachin was the Houston Rockets actually offered him, Sachin, an executive position in their organization that paid more than the Timberwolves position and was a higher rank.
Was it? I thought it was a lateral move. So I think it was
It was a lateral move, but it was more
money.
more money and more initiatives to take on. It was more things to do.
Mm-hmm.
And Gerson actually rejected this. And if you guys follow basketball, front offices at all, this is a no-brainer for all, good president of basketball operations. If their VP gets a job offer, whether it's another POBO or another executive vice president position, you let them take that position. You want them to further advance their career. Most of them have great relationships with those guys. And for Gerson to reject that is alarming, to say the least. And you can make the argument it was a little near draft time, but a counter argument is the Rockets didn't have any picks close to us. We were the first overall pick in the draft. And we probably, most executives knew we were picking at the Edwards anyway.
This was last year that happened?
It was last year, yes. And I think that's not good of Gerson. I think that's, in my opinion, pretty shitty. Not letting a guy advance his career in the NBA. I don't know what you think about that.
Yeah, and especially from what you're, if he already is having trouble talking to other executives on the phone, they wouldn't even talk to him because they don't like trading with him. Wouldn't you want to build your network by letting someone go to the Rockets? Because if he's on the Rockets, if he's with the Rockets now, then maybe it'll be easier to get a deal done with the Rockets because at least he's willing to talk with you, because you let him take that job. So.
Exactly. So that was the big second pillar, I believe, of the toxic work relationship. And the other one, probably the third one, the most important that affected the most people, is during draft time, Gerson would ask some of those Timberwolves executives, the scouting department, analytics, all those guys, to do more work than a usual analytic or executive vice president or any of those front office positions would normally do. And in return, he gave them no input whatsoever on who we were going to pick, even though they were doing the research, they were doing the statistics. They were practically making the decision for Gerson. He didn't give them any leeway in the final say. And especially the big one was Sachin, who, if you guys don't know, he was supposed to be the Kings' next president of basketball operations, but the Kings made a super surprise move and hired another president of basketball operations. Everyone predicted it was going to be Sachin. He's if there's free agents right now, he's the number one free agent for president of basketball operations job. He's super awesome. I hope we keep him. I hope he's not just our intern.
Isn't that a crazy story that he goes from getting yelled at by Gerson to taking his job?
Yeah. And there's some more we're going to talk about later too. That's even crazier, but it is crazy. And you know what? Good for Sachin. Persevered through that.
A fun fact about Sachin?
Go ahead.
He's the guy who created the trade generator website.
And that's awesome. That's so cool. And the other thing is too, did you see he's actually an MIT master's graduate in computer science, and he worked his way to this position, which I think is really cool.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited to have him. But nonetheless, I think the big issue was also Sachin had no say in who we were drafting, and he is the main analytic guy. If you guys didn't know, he's a comp sci major. He does a lot of statistics. He's a math guy.
So it's kind of it was a dictatorship.
Yes. It was definitely a toxic
dictatorship
culture. Yes. Yeah. I 100% agree. So those are the main issues of the toxic relationship. And then we get into the juice that I'm sure all you guys came for. The apparent affair. Before I even go into this, should we release the name?
Yeah. I mean, why not? Everyone, it's all over the place. And it's not 100% confirmed. It's just what the facts that we know are that there was a Timberwolves employee that was also removed from the website.
Yeah. So if you guys looked at Twitter or whatever, Bree Bauer, I think she was VP of communications.
Yep.
She was also removed from the Timberwolves website at the same time as Gerson. So that kind of,
it's not 100% sure, but yeah.
This goes to say that probably that was, the female that he was having an affair with. And I think the main point I wanted to make throughout this is I saw a lot of people saying that oh, we fired Gerson for having an affair. We just fired Gerson for having an affair when A-Rod has had multiple affairs.
Right.
Listen to this. I'm the CEO of Amazon. I'm Jeff Bezos.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
that's a big quote, right?
Yeah, I'm Jeff Bezos.
I'm Jeff Bezos.
I have a wife. I cheat on my wife with the CFO of Amazon.
Mhm.
Do I deserve to get fired from Amazon? Probably.
Well, yeah.
There's a difference between cheating on someone within a company as the head honcho than there is with cheating on somebody outside of the company.
Yeah, also, I guess my stance on it kind of is like you can't be preaching like hard work, like loyalty, all this stuff as like the leader of a basketball team. You can't be talking about loyalty and all these things, preaching that to your team, and then go do that when multiple people like know about this. Like that's just like
100%.
that doesn't feel right coming from your leader, and that just will create just a terrible environment.
Exactly. Payne and I aren't endorsing, cheating or affairs or any of that. We think it's terrible. And Peyton made a great point that like it's, if your head guy is, promoting wrong values, such as that, and your new owners, Mark Lohr, people have probably seen this, but his 3 core values were like equity, trust, and loyalty. And
Yep.
that's the reason he got fired, was because
I think trust and loyalty both are. He's checking those. He's not checking those boxes by doing that.
Exactly. And, to make things even dumber, the news that like just came out, I think a few hours ago, we didn't even know this until today, is Gerson rented out a press box at a Minnesota United soccer game a couple weeks ago. And he brought Bree Bauer to the box along with players and staff. And there's photos of him online. You guys can actually, I think Bleacher Report posted these. There's
No way, really?
I don't know if Bleacher Report posted them. I saw them on the internet, but he was kissing her in the press box.
God.
So to be even stupider, I guess stupider is not even a word, but that's just the definition of stupid. You're just digging like it's just meant to happen. I'm so glad it happened, and I apologize in advance, Glenn, because Peyton and I are both guilty of this. We kind of, we didn't do it as much as other Timberwolves fans, but we were like, this is kind of stupid. Like, why do we do this?
Because Chris is one of the, like, I guess before yesterday, Chris is one of the biggest Gerson, like, we were even talking about this last podcast. We're like, we trust the process.
Oh, yeah.
I don't trust the process anymore.
But you know what I mentioned actually the last podcast, and I told my roommate this today. I mentioned in the last podcast, is Gerson on the hot seat?
Yep.
That
he was
funny.
He was
100% on the hot
seat.
seat.
The thing is, we knew he was on the hot seat for 5-6 months, just like Darren.
According to Darren, yeah. According to Darren and Dane, they just couldn't release the story.
Yeah, the dysfunction within the relationship.
Yeah. That's kind of
that's the facts.
That's the facts. That's what we know. And I think obviously we're going to go a little bit more in depth on, what we think about this and what the future holds for the Timberwolves. I feel like I've been talking a lot, so I'm gonna let Peyton.
I mean, but that was your segment though, so
I think I got all the facts. How do you think I did?
I thought you did great. I was 100% fine just sitting here listening because it's always good. But yeah, a few things I want to talk on. I think as a Timberwolves fan, what should you think about this? Like, how should you feel? Like, it's obviously a big change. Change brings discomfort, but for me, I think this is the best possible thing that could happen. Honestly, I mean, if that's really how the workplace was and they're not just like over exaggerating it, then it's such good news that we're moving on from Gerson and we're giving another guy a shot, and then we can try to build that culture back up. Because I feel like the players have the culture right, and we talked about that last episode. I think the players' culture, I think everything's going right now with the players, but it's a two-way street. If you got the players going well, but the front office doing terrible, then you're gonna have problems. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think it's good just to get a fresh start up there. I mean, obviously we might go 2 steps back here because of this, but I think in the long run, I think it's going to be for the best.
Yeah, I actually saw a good argument too on Twitter today. Someone said this could possibly bring like more stability within the relationship or within the organization, with hopefully Sachin wins the intern job.
I
I
hope he
actually do
does,
like
dude.
Sachin a lot. If
Not
you guys
Elton Brand.
no, not Elton
Dumbass.
Brand. If you guys watch like what was that mini series they did before last season, like keeping track the
Running the
pack
pack or something. Yeah.
I really did like Sachin throughout that show, and I think a lot of the guys respect him within the organization. He's obviously an extremely smart guy.
Very smart from what you've been saying.
He's like a top 5 candidate for the next executive position.
Oh, your mic's unplugged or something. Hey,
I think he's a good candidate.
You're good.
Perfect. We still good?
Yeah, go back to what you were saying. Yeah, we couldn't hear.
Yeah, I said I don't think there's really any reason to hire outside of the organization when we already have a very a top 5 candidate for a next president of basketball operations job, and I think it'll bring continuity, and I think that's the main thing the Wolves organization needs at the moment. They need continuity. They need the same faces for at least a few years, man. They've never had that really.
No, and now they don't even have it even more.
Yeah.
A few things I want to talk about are a few things that Gerson did during his tenure that was just a little off, and like everyone most people thought it was just kind of off, but like we didn't really think anything crazy of it. We're just like, oh, like he's doing stuff different. The first one being hiring Chris Finch without giving anyone else an interview. I mean, that's very unconventional, and at the time, we trusted him because we were trusting the process. But now looking back at it, it seems like we should have known something was up back then.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously like it's a little weird, just hiring one guy without giving interviews, especially to
in any job. That's just so weird. Like you would never do that in any other job. You'd never, even if here's your guy 100% and you're gonna hire him 100%. You still give other people an interview just to even look good. Because what happened was there was a huge PR thing about how we didn't interview any minority people, and any of that. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and like I guess an equivalent to this would be like, say like
you're Jeff Bezos.
Say no, we won't go the Amazon route, but say Peyton was on like a bigger podcast. Say he was working for a bigger podcast company, and like Peyton was allowed to hire a co-host. If he just hired me without without interviewing other people, trying other people, I think that would look a little weird to like your boss. And like I think you just need to do due diligence, especially on internal people. Especially they've earned that from you. Being under you, just hiring someone right away, I think was a little. Peyton and I defended that move. We're going to be honest. We completely defended the Chris Finch move, and to this day, I think Chris Finch is turned the organization around. I think we got better under him. So I'm happy with Finch. But if he stays, but like I do agree, the process was definitely a little shady to say.
Yeah, and another thing about it is like you could tell, like he didn't respect anyone below him. That's kind of what they were saying, is he never brought anyone's input in. So obviously he's not going to hire someone from inside the organization if he won't even listen to them about anything,
Yeah. I guess the other shady thing that kind of came to my mind right away was, the trading up and selecting Jarrett Culver when there were many people advising not to trade up and select Jarrett Culver. There's a lot of pre-draft opinions on Jarrett Culver that hold true to today, that he would struggle with shooting in the NBA, that his touch is not there, his free throw shooting is not good. And what happened? It's, when you pick a player, what do we pick him? 6 overall, 5th, 6th
overall.
He's got to be better than Jarrett Culver.
We gave him the pass for sure. We gave Gerson the pass on that.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm eating this. I think this is the first time I've ever eaten during a podcast. We got some.
What we got today? Oh, those are money.
They're fire, dude.
Those are really money.
Yeah, hopefully it's not too much ASMR for you guys, but what I wanted to say about that is like, it seems like that's the trend. Gerson, whatever Gerson thinks is what he wants to do, that's what he did. So he wanted to hire Chris Finch. He hired Chris Finch. He doesn't care what anyone else thinks. He wanted to draft Jarrett Culver. He drafts Jarrett Culver. He doesn't care what anyone else says. Whoever advises against him, it doesn't matter. I'm the GM. I do what I want to do. And at some point, that's not going to fly anymore. And I want to cheat on my wife. I'm going to cheat on my wife. I want to do it at the United game in the press box. Do it in the press box. You know what I mean?
And something I also forgot to mention is these not players. I should say staff members within the organization were already aware of him cheating, and they were uncomfortable with it. Was one of the other huge reasons.
Who wouldn't be uncomfortable with that shit?
I don't know. Yeah, exactly. And we're not gonna say we said this or anyone. There is a rumor though that he got walked into at the organization by Gupta, and that's a complete rumor. But there is pictures of him kissing the girl at the soccer game, which is evidence in itself that is not okay. And that is not morally okay. That's not okay by Peyton and I's standards. That's not okay by the Timberwolves standards.
It shouldn't be okay by anyone's standards.
By anyone's standards. Like that should not be happening. He has kids. Like he has kids. She has kids. That's just, I don't want my leader to be doing. I don't want my team to be represented by that.
No, it's gross. It's gross.
Very gross.
Oh, another crazy part of the story that you actually left out of your facts, which is fine. You had a lot of stuff to cover, but apparently he barred Gupta from the facilities for like 2 weeks.
Oh, really?
He couldn't. Yeah, I gotta find it, but he didn't let him. They had a falling out, and he wouldn't let him come into the facilities at all. So that's why I can. Yeah, it's just like that. That's so like childish.
I mean, I would say like I would connect this to like a thesis statement in high school. The thesis statement for the Timberwolves is we are the most dysfunctional organization in American sports history. And there's no debate. I don't know why this stuff keeps happening. I don't know why we don't have continuity. I don't know what is wrong with this organization. Something's wrong. I don't know.
We're cursed. Until we retire KG's jersey, we are cursed.
I think until Glenn gets out of there, I think we're cursed. I really do.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't. It's some news, I guess. I mean, we were talking about how there's not really much to talk about last episode. This is something to talk about. Even my mom was telling me, like, hey, like, I'm interested in this. Well, where's the Timberwolves talk? I'm like, don't worry, Mom. It'll happen. It will happen. But yeah, I think. So yeah, we touched on the Cat thing. Cat does not want to trade. That Instagram account that keeps posting that stuff, it's nothing new from them. I don't even want to give their name because I don't even want you to go look them up and give them that algorithm. But it is the worst account on Instagram.
Yeah, I think a good talk or a good segment here would be to, let you guys know how Peyton and I think this is going to affect different things within our organization. I kind of want to start out just with the team. Training camp, like we said, is less than a week away. This is ginormous news. This isn't some little minute detail. This is your president. This is your GM. This is the guy who calls the shots. That's a huge toll to take, especially for a guy that traded for you. If you're a certain number of people, if you're Malik, if you are Jaden, if you're Ant, who those guys got drafted by Gerson, if you're D'Lo,
everyone basically on the team. Like, I want to know. I bet there's a stat like who Gerson didn't bring here. There's probably barely any players.
Couple people, maybe Kogi and Cat are probably the only two.
Yeah,
and Gerson believed in you as a person. Gerson believed to take a chance on you. And I think personally, if Gerson traded for me and then all this stuff happened, I'd like rethink,
my stability,
my purpose, my stability to this team. Why did he want me? I don't want to be remembered for the guy that traded for me who did like these harmful things to the organization, which the fans don't believe that. I don't think we especially don't, but like, obviously they're thinking about that right now. And that affects the team a week before training camp. Like there's going to be, these guys are going to walk into the locker room tomorrow or the training facility or onto the court for practice. And they're all going to be looking at each other like
the elephant in the room.
Elephant in the room.
I don't know if I wonder if someone's going to be, I bet Ant's going to be the first one to say something like,
and the tough thing is Ant had a very close personal relationship with Gerson. Cat had a very close one. D'Lo did. They just visited him in Miami not even a week or two ago. Jaden did. Like, these players had close connections with him, and it's tough.
Yeah, it's got to be a tough situation for the players because like they definitely liked Gerson as a person. I think most of the dysfunction that we're talking about is in upper management with the executives. It's not with the players. I think the players all respected him. And yeah, like you were saying, they all had pretty good personal relationships with him. So it's hard. They're in a tough position because they like Gerson as a person, but then they're hearing all these bad things about him and all these things that he did. So they can't really back him up, you know?
Yeah.
So it's a tough situation to be in. And for these players, like all that they get is change. Literally, this was supposed to be the year where it was supposed to be stability and like they could just focus on playing basketball. And again, we are in a situation where they cannot just focus on playing basketball. And I'm worried that it's going to set us back a little bit, but I'm hoping that it will not. But it most likely it is going to set us back just a little bit.
And the other thing too is to go along with that, the players are not immune to criticism. We criticize some of the players. Big media outlets criticize these players. John Krasinski criticizes these players. Darren does. If you guys don't think these players hear that, you're oblivious. If you guys don't think they hear that,
they don't hear this. They don't hear us criticizing them.
No. I'm just saying if you guys don't think they hear that they're the worst franchise in the history of sports, if you guys don't think they hear that they're the worst team in the NBA, if you guys don't think that they hear they're the worst like built roster in the NBA, they have no talent, you guys are oblivious. They hear this all the time, and this just, I feel like, adds on to that stress of them just being the worst, the poorly run franchise who can never get anything right. I think that's a big, mental handicap, but I also think that we have a lot of, strong-hearted and strong-headed players that I think will push through this. I think this could be a motivation tool, but it's all how they respond. It's all how you respond to this type of stuff.
Right. And I mean, I don't know. I just hope that we heard the fake rumor about Cat. I just hope that something like that doesn't become a real rumor because Gerson was the guy who believed in a guy like D'Lo, and he's the guy who said that D'Lo, Ant, and Cat were untouchables. Now, when we get a new president in, are they not going to have the same untouchables? Because they probably won't. Because Gerson had his own beliefs, and everyone has different beliefs. So maybe this new guy that they bring in, or if it's Gupta, is fine trading D'Lo for Ben Simmons. And so it's just like we could have a lot more news coming up before the season starts.
Yeah, and this news definitely segues into the Ben Simmons news. We've hammered on this plenty, and the news came out this morning too that he wasn't going to report to camp and not play ever again. We kind of already knew he wasn't going to play again for the Sixers, but yeah, it definitely does affect that because you would think our chances would go down for Ben Simmons, but actually,
I would say the opposite. I think they would go up.
No, and guess who has the leading odds to land Ben Simmons now?
We do.
The Minnesota Timberwolves have him at plus 400, and I think the Kings are plus 450, and the Warriors are around plus 600, I believe. So
yeah, I could see it happening.
I don't know. We don't know what the future holds. There's a new report. I think Shams tweeted it that Ben Simmons was going to be traded within a week here. So I don't know what's going to happen. There could be another emergency Timberwolves talk, the same as this one.
It definitely could happen. I don't know if I'm happy about that, but yeah,
it's a weird time. It's a weird time in the franchise right now. It seems like the big cloud last year over the franchise was the hiring of Finch. Us having to deal with some backlash for not giving my minority coaches a shot, which is I think very fair from national media. And there's a cloud over us now for having a GM that was toxic and cheated on his wife and his kids and a scumbag and treated people poorly. And it's tough. I think the whole thing to take out of this is just Minnesota fans, especially of the Timberwolves, just deserve better, man. We deserve a product on the court, in the front office, to represent our state, man.
Because we're the nice state, bro. We don't do that shit here.
We've never had a basketball team since almost over 20 years that has represented us well.
Yeah.
And that's sad.
It is sad. I mean, I guess another part we didn't mention is the Jordan McLaughlin thing about how he promised him a higher role on the team when obviously he was just lying to him to get him to sign.
On a cheap deal again. Jordan McLaughlin always seems to get screwed out of his deals.
Well, he's not a great player.
But the year prior, he could have got a bigger contract, and instead he gets signed on a two-way.
Right, because Gerson probably talked him into some shit.
Probably.
But yeah, that's shady. Another thing that Gerson did was a lot of executives around the league believed he could have got better value for the D'Lo draft pick, that we could have got a better protection besides top 3.
Top 10, right?
Top 10 maybe even. And if you look at this year's draft, we could have got we could have had the 7th pick. We could have added Kuminga.
We could have got Kuminga instead of
we would have got Kuminga.
Probably.
So you look at that. That's a big mistake. The Jarrett Culver thing. Who could we have drafted besides Jarrett Culver? Who went behind him?
The Jarrett Culver mistake was one of the biggest setbacks in the team. If we would have got Garland with that, 6 overall pick instead of him going 5, or if we would have just waited and got Dylan Brooks, things are different, man.
Yeah, let's look at the 2019 draft. It was a pretty shitty draft, I think, right?
But there's Dylan Brooks at.
I swear, Dylan Brooks.
He's always good, man. He always
against
goes
us.
Off against us. Man.
Against us, he's one of our worst. He goes ape mode against us. Kobe White. No, I guess I'm happy we didn't get him. Cam Reddish. Tyler Hero, even. I would have rather had Tyler Hero.
Rui Hachimura and Jackson Hayes. Cam Reddish. Cameron Johnson, even. PJ Washington, dude. I would have taken
Kevin Porter Jr.
Matisse Thybulle.
Bull.
Guys, the list goes. Keldon Johnson was a great pick by San Antonio at 29. Man, San Antonio is, that's what we aspire to be, man. Getting Keldon Johnson at 29, man.
Bro, they're gonna be back. I swear they're gonna be back in 2 or 3 years. They're gonna be back to being a top level team.
What a pick at 29, dude. Keldon Johnson at 29.
It's elite. I'll give him that.
Can you believe that, man?
I'll give him
Team
that.
USA. Congrats to Keldon Johnson, by the way, for making Team USA. Whenever we play them and we see Keldon Johnson, Derek White, DeJounte Murray, I love those guys. Those guys aren't the biggest names, but they will beat your team by so much, and you don't even know who they are.
That's facts, man. But yeah, I think we did a pretty good job just touching on the facts, what we know right now. We kind of just wanted to touch base with you guys and give our opinions. Chris's video, I think you guys already saw his dance moves. You should have already seen them if they're placed in this video, but if they didn't, then you got to get on Chris's ass because he hasn't filmed his dance yet.
Yes. I have not recorded the dance at this point. I'm waiting for my roommate to get back so we can record the dance. Thank you guys so much for 35 likes.
That's crazy, bro. I did not think that was going to happen. 35. Wow.
That means the world to us. You guys, like we've said before, the slightest comment, the slightest amount of support legitimately means it makes our day sometimes, seeing a good comment. So keep leaving those positive comments, keep liking the videos. Like we said, we love doing this. We got some big news, coming up down the road too. You guys will potentially be seeing another podcast added to Bass Hole Media. We have to figure everything out.
Yeah. But yeah. Thanks for tuning in, guys. I think that's a good place to end it. Hopefully there's not much more news. Hopefully that the news is just done for now, that we don't learn anything new crazy and we don't have to make another emergency podcast unless it's getting Ben Simmons. But yeah, thanks for listening, guys. Have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you guys soon.